Stay safe. From KCRG TV9, this is First Alert Weather Now.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Monday evening edition of First Alert Weather Now. I'm meteorologist Thompson.
And I'm meteorologist Messier.
And it has been a pretty windy day today, but certainly on the warmer side.
Yeah, and it's because of those winds that we actually were so warm.
Yep, exactly. They do a big change this time of year, depending on which direction they're coming from. We're going to get kind of a little bit of both over the next several days, too, although nothing too extreme on the cold side, it looks like.
That is something to be grateful for, though the fact that we're going to be potentially in the 50s is going to be kind of unusual for this time of year for certain.
For sure. We will be pushing perhaps toward records, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We'll also have your forecast for fun for the new week, as well as a look back at when weather was actually a whole heck of a lot colder. It's not even that far back in the past.
I mean, I can remember some pretty cold heat Januaries in the past.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll take a look at one of them. But what you need to know as you head out this evening is for a fairly quiet night ahead. We're expecting temperatures to stay mild even during the nighttime hours compared to what you might expect this time of year. And Tuesday again presents another opportunity for some fairly warm weather. It will be windy again as we go toward Tuesday, which is kind of a carbon copy of today too, with a decent amount of sunshine. Now we are watching a couple of chances for rain and then another chance that could bring a little bit of light snow in our 9-day forecast. We'll have a look at that with Hannah in just a little bit. But tonight, it is a little bit cloudy out there. Temperatures stay in the low to mid 40s as a result, but it's still quite windy too. Winds out of the west between about 10 to 20 miles per hour, though those should also get a little bit better. There's that batch of clouds. Those have been trying to produce showers too, but falling into some extremely dry air. And so most of that precipitation has not been spotted at the ground. It's this little boundary that is moving through the region that's providing some of those showers, but those are quickly moving off to the southeast. So your planner for the rest of the evening does involve temperatures that will be down into the low 20s. We're expecting winds to be out of the west between about 5 to 15 by the time you wake up tomorrow. So all in all, not too bad.
You know, temperatures, the fact that it was so warm today was actually pretty great. I could walk outside and I was still wearing my winter coat, but my hands didn't get as cold, which is pretty great.
Yeah, for sure. The wind still obviously means you still need that jacket for sure, but it's a little bit of a step in the right direction for those that like warmth.
That's right. We know some people don't like warmth, but that's okay. They can still have fun.
Indeed. And to take a look at some of the things you could do this week, and a lot of them indoors, meteorologist Joe Winters has your forecast for fun.
With the mild weather that we're going to see this week, relatively speaking, for the late part of January, maybe you get a chance to get outside. That begins our forecast for fun as we take a look at your walking forecast. 46 on Tuesday, 40 on Wednesday, 50 on Thursday. It's possible on Tuesday that we could see a couple of temperatures approach 50, and we could be higher than 50 degrees on Thursday. That is going to make it very nice and, again, melt away any of that snow that certainly fell last week. So it looks like a good week to get outside. Maybe you haven't been outside for a while, you certainly can. Iowa women's basketball is in town on Tuesday. 48 degrees for the Carver Hawkeye Arena tip-off at 7 o'clock. Northwestern's in town. And don't forget, Sunday, the Iowa women's team also in town. It's Caitlin Clark Jersey Retirement Day. Going to be a crowd certainly that day. That again comes up on Sunday. As we look at the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders, they have a Saturday game with 38 degrees. Puck drops at 7:05. Lincoln's in town. And then Saturday at the Imon Ice Arena, they're also at home with Fargo coming to town. The men's basketball team from Iowa State, 43 degrees. Kansas State at Iowa State. That comes up on Saturday with tip-off on 1. And the Iowa State women's team is on Sunday with 47 degrees. Looks quiet for the drive over to Ames with TCU in town. Tip-off for that game happens to be at 3 o'clock. So lots of basketball activities this time of the year for your forecast for fun.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Hannah Messier.
Your first alert has wind highlighted on it this evening, which isn't surprising. We're going to still have some high winds out there as we head into the next couple of days. So we are going to look, there we go, looking at the winds, gusts topping 30 miles per hour as we head into tomorrow. Another windy one is expected. Now, we do have a good amount of cloud cover in the area. These showers are moving to the southeast, but again, a lot of these didn't even reach the ground. This is the view on our Piasta City Cam. Very warm considering it's 6:30 in the evening. 41 in Cedar Rapids, 45 in Iowa City, and 43 in Piasta. And it feels like the 30s and 40s out there. So we're going to see the clouds gradually move to the southeast through the evening. Then we'll have some clear skies overnight tonight. A couple of clouds develop here and there for your Tuesday morning, but those won't last long, and we should have a good amount of sunshine through most of Tuesday with winds coming out of the west. Speaking of winds tomorrow, they are going to gust at up to 30 miles per hour, all coming in from the west, bringing in some warmer air into the area. The peak wind of the day is going to be really in the early afternoon between 1 and 3 p.m. before winds die down a little bit as you head into the evening. Winds back into the teens after sunset. Overnight lows dropping into the 20s, 23 in Decorah, 22 in Tama, and 22 in Washington, with winds coming out of the west. And it's going to be very warm on Tuesday. Actually, could get close to some records. Cedar Rapids, our forecasted high temperature for tomorrow, 48. The record 48 degrees in 2008. Iowa City and Waterloo, we could reach the low 50s. Not quite breaking records in Iowa City and Waterloo, but in Dubuque, our forecast 46, the record 53. These are the highs elsewhere in the area tomorrow. 49 in Charles City, 46 in Dubuque, and 51 in Washington, with that mostly sunny sky. We're expecting the above normal temperatures to last not just for Tuesday, but also into Wednesday and Thursday. Friday also seeing those above normal temperatures. In addition, Thursday and Friday we're watching for some chances for some rain showers, mainly on Friday with these chances for rain showers. We're going to watch for that as we head through the day on Friday. Then it exits. Pretty quiet conditions expected for the weekend. Maybe a couple of snow showers. We're keeping our eye on that, but it is still several days away, so you'll need to check back for updates to the forecast. In our long-term precipitation outlook, February 3rd through February 9th, we've got wetter than normal conditions in eastern Iowa. In our long-term temperature outlook for that same time period, February 3rd through February 9th, we've got colder than normal conditions across much of the Midwest, including the Hawkeye State. Here's your next several days. We're going to be very warm. Thursday, the warmest at 50 and partly cloudy. Overnight temperatures in the 20s. Past Thursday into Friday, there's that chance for some rain showers, quieter conditions for the weekend, and maybe even some snow showers for the beginning of next week, with temperatures dropping again back into the low 30s by next week. So enjoy the little spring-like weather we have for the end of January.
I think we are due after what we experienced recently. Some pretty cold temperatures out there. Certainly was an improvement today.
It was, but you know, as far as January's go, we did have a bout of cold weather, but it certainly could have been colder and has been colder in the past.
Yeah, for sure. And one of those time periods that we're thinking of that was that cold in the past, you weren't working at KCRG just yet, but perhaps you remember late January 2019, it got real cold in a lot of places.
I was actually at Iowa State then, and yeah, it was really cold. I think I quickly walked across campus building hopping just to try to stay a little bit warmer.
Yeah, no doubt. And a lot of folks had to cope in various different ways, and that's this week's Weather Rewind. Yes, right around January 31st in 2019 was officially the coldest as far as the thermometer went, but it was a multi-day period of really brutally cold weather that spent much of that time below zero, with wind chills obviously well below zero in many cases. And the highlight really for a lot of folks that may remember it was schools were closed for days at a time because of this. And that's kind of rare for them to close at all because of the cold. But some were closing 2 or 3 days in advance just because of the forecast that really did play out. Unfortunately, it did lead to a couple of deaths in the state too. Now, looking back, what set all of this up was a pretty snowy January. We had 5 measurable snowfall events in the state leading up to this outbreak of cold weather. 4 of those produced swaths of at least 4 inches of snow. And in many cases, those were areas of snow that were even heavier than that, maybe 8 to 12 inches on a couple of spots as those snowstorms moved through. Now, that resulted in a widespread area of snowpack here that extended from Iowa over the Great Lakes into Minnesota and southern Canada, of at least 10 to 20 inches of snow that was on the ground. And that provides a very clean surface for an air mass from the Arctic to move across and move into the Midwest without much change as it does. Perhaps you'll remember that term, polar vortex. This was really the first time that kind of entered the lexicon in terms of us talking about that kind of cold as that moved in. Now, KCRG TV9's Forrest Saunders reported at the time on what some of the folks were doing to cope with those conditions.
At the end of her workday, Carla Jordan had record-breaking temps and a broken car window to deal with Thursday morning. You thought
Somebody shot at it, yeah.
Although with no bullet holes to be found, she now thinks it was Mother Nature. Perhaps super lows wrought havoc on a warmed window, something experts say can happen when glass quickly changes temps.
I haven't seen this cold of weather since I graduated in 1982.
Many of you thought to try being Bill Nye, doing science experiments in the cold. Boiling water to snow was a favorite. Freezing bubbles, another. This Iowa City teen turned a squirt gun into a freeze ray. Over at Ray Gun, a local t-shirt shop, staff may have perfectly captured the public's pulse when it came to the cold, producing this slogan recently.
The Midwest, the weather sucks, but I still like it here.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
The good news, it was on cold days like this you could find some warmth in humanity. The downtown library extended its business hours, offering a heated space to those without one.
The library is the community's living room in some ways.
Another heartwarmer, what was happening at the Wellington Heights Neighborhood Association. There, an impromptu food pantry popped up in the last few days to help the food insecure. It's since served more than 100, no questions asked.
It's always a blessing for this. This community needs this more often, though, because it's a lot of people, unfortunately, out here struggling.
Yeah, and people did come together, fortunately, in those times to help those folks out because it was certainly dangerously cold. Here's what our air temperatures were at some of those coldest readings we saw on January 31st. That's when we actually saw the coldest air temperatures, 41 below zero in Elkader. It's hard to get 40 below zero in Iowa, and there's only a handful of dates in recorded history that that's happened. This is one of them. Decorah at 37 below, Manchester, Macokota, Vinton all at 35 below, Belle Plaine at 33 below, Sigourney at 32 below. Now Cedar Rapids hit a low of 30 below, setting an all-time record low that morning, and many other places did too. It was certainly one to remember. Now the coldest wind chills actually took place back the day before. So that's when the cold air was pouring into the region. We still had those thermometer readings very low, but the winds were stronger. And so it felt like 60 below zero in Charles City, 58 below in Oline, 55 in New Hampton, same in Cedar Rapids and Dubuque, 53 below in Decorah, and 51 below in Iowa City. Yeah, pretty ridiculous if you go by those measures of things. Now, that extended period was kind of the interesting and unique aspect of this outbreak of cold. It was for a while and certainly felt like it for quite a while too. Schools and businesses, as noted, were closed for days and pipes burst. I can speak to my own home that one pipe did freeze at least temporarily. Luckily was able to get it going before it caused much trouble. There were reports of fires too. Improper use of generators or space heaters led to a couple of reported fires in eastern Iowa, which is one of those unfortunate effects that you can have from something like that. You also had 2 reports of people who were killed from exposure. One was in the Quad Cities, one in Iowa City. A student at the University of Iowa was found outdoors, which is really, really unfortunate. But it does also kind of give a reminder that when it's this cold, you do have to take it seriously. Things can go bad in a pretty big hurry. 60 below. That's pretty ridiculous. Our wind chills when we were in our recent cold snap in the 40 to 45 below. So we weren't that far off, but that's kind of an extra level there.
No, minus 60, you definitely don't want to play with that. And Iowans can, when it comes to cold weather, can sometimes have the attitude of, I've lived in Iowa forever. I can wear shorts and be outside when it's minus 60. And obviously you can't, because when we say this is dangerous cold, it's really dangerous cold.
Yeah. I believe I remember as my first winter working at KCRG, I think we had to change the scale, like on our maps. The colors didn't go low enough on our wind chill chart, so we had to actually add a new range of colors there because it was just turning no color because it was so cold. So one of those weird little quirks that comes with these kinds of things.
You know it's cold when the weather map can't
when it
plot.
Breaks.
You know, and when the cold breaks the weather map, you know that it's bad.
Exactly, but none of that coming up, fortunately.
Thankfully, we have pretty much the opposite of that in our 9-day forecast. We have over the next couple of days temperatures in the 40s and 50s. 48 on Tuesday, 42 degrees and mostly sunny on Wednesday, 50 on Thursday. We can see Tuesday we're going to have some pretty high winds because of that really warm temperatures is going to be because of the high winds in the area. Wind gusts are going to be up to 30 miles per hour coming out of the west. We're going to see wind gusts die down a little bit in the evening into the teens by the evening. We're also going to have the very warm temperatures on Thursday. When you factor in the winds, it's even still going to be pretty warm. Still feeling like the 20s in the morning on Thursday, but then as you head into the afternoon, feeling like the 40s. By 3 p.m. feeling like the mid to upper 40s. So even when you factor in the winds we're going to see on Thursday, it's going to be pretty warm. Then as we take a look at the rest of the week, we actually begin the month of February. February still isn't the warmest month of the year, obviously, but it is going to gradually get better. Our normal high on February 1st, 29 degrees, but the normal high on February 29th, 38 degrees. So we will see that normal high go up. We usually see a decent amount of precipitation in February too. We can get 8.3 inches of snowfall during the month. And of course, lastly, if you like to celebrate Groundhog Day, that is on Sunday. 44 degrees is expected on Sunday, so we'll have to see what Puxatawny Phil says this year. But either way, it's still likely going to be cold as we head into the rest of the month. You can see that temperature drop 32 degrees by Monday, 30 on Tuesday, even seeing that slight chance of snow Monday and Tuesday of next week. Overnight temperatures in the teens and 20s, but just kind of enjoy the fact that you might be able to go outside without a winter coat on Thursday.
All in all, not too bad, honestly, over the next several days. Thursday, especially tomorrow, even though it will be a little bit windy, we'll take it.
Yeah, the fact that we're going to be in the upper 40s at the end of January is going to be pretty great.
Indeed. And thanks for joining us tonight for First Alert Weather Now. We'll be back again tomorrow night, same time and same place. Enjoy your evening.